Now to most people, Alucard may seem mediocre, even to the point of calling him a troll hero. This is most definitely not true. In the right hands, Alucard is a total beast that can deal with almost any enemy. So without further ado, let's get into his skill set. Also, don't forget to re-download Mobile Legends with Aptoide to get up to 30% bonus on your diamond purchases. The step-by-step guide is in the description box below. We start with his passive, which already has 3 features that are crucial to know. Firstly, all of his skills deal 1.5 times damage when only hitting one enemy. Jungle creeps and minions count as enemy as well, so you should really try to focus on one squishy enemy alone. Secondly, after using any skill, your next basic attack will be enhanced, which means you will deal 1.2 times damage and dash towards the enemy. The dash skill can be used in many different ways. For example, when you try to escape from your enemies because you did the typical Alufeed move and try to 1v5 them, you can use this skill and dash towards a jungle creep to speed up your escape. It can also be used to just general speed up your rotation or your farming. The extra damage also applies to the turrets, by the way. So if you're pushing a turret, make sure to spam your skills around so you can hit the turret with your enhanced basic attack and quickly destroy these ugly looking turrets of your enemy. The enhanced basic attack will disappear after 4 seconds, so make sure to keep that in mind as well. Lastly, Alucard skill benefit from half of his total physical life skill. Quick head-ups for the noobs.
Oh, wow!
Newbies. Sorry. Physical lifesteal usually only works with basic attacks that deal physical damage. But in Alucard's case, his skills also benefit from it, so you should really build physical lifesteal items like Endless Battle, Harsh Claws, Rose Gold Meteor, etc. Are you convinced now that Alucard is not just a simple button mash hero? Yeah? Cool. Let's move on to his first skill. And to everyone who said no, Alucard jumps toward a designated area and launches a slash to the enemy, dealing physical damage and slowing them by 40% for 2 seconds. This skill can be used to chase or escape, going through walls, or to speed up your rotation and farming. The best way to use this skill usually though is to escape. If you attack the enemies and they're still alive, you can easily back out again with this skill. The more experience you have with Alucard, the better you will know how to use the skill. Since the cooldown is also reduced when leveling up, you should prioritize to level up this skill over your second skill, about which we will talk next. Alucard spins. Next is his ult. No, okay. There's a bit more to his second skill. It's an AoE skill, which means he damages all enemies around him. Since it has a pretty high damage and a short cooldown from the get-go, this skill is your main way of farming creeps or damage the enemies in the early game. That's why you should get this skill first at level 1 and focus on your first skill and your ult afterwards. Now to his ult, which has 2 phases. In phase 1, Alucard absorbs the enemy... Alucard absorbs the energy of enemies within the designated area and marks them, increasing your own lifesteal by 40 to 60% depending on the level, and reducing the movement speed of the targets by 40% for 4 seconds. In the next 8 seconds, his passive is triggered whenever he deals damage to the marked targets. So if you decide to be Leroy Jenkins, you can't say that any different, and go into a 1v5 after marking all of your enemies, you deal 1.5 times the damage to all of those enemies. The second phase lets Alucard release a shockwave forward, dealing a huge amount of damage to the enemies. The shockwave should be used to give the enemies the final blow, or to secure a jungle objective like the turtle or the lord. Learn the timing of using the slash and retribution directly afterwards, so the enemy's jungler has no chance to steal the objective. You can also use the slash as a last resort to restore some HP in a dire situation. Now you know what each skill does. Let's combine them into some useful combos now. One of the most effective combos would be ultimate plus first skill plus basic attack plus second skill plus basic attack plus ult. Didn't you say to not use his first skill to attack? Can you let me start my explanation first, please? This is a useful combo to ambush a single target. You're marking and slowing the enemy first with your ult. Then you use your first skill to jump on the enemy and slowing them even further, followed by an enhanced basic attack, your second skill, and another enhanced basic attack. If the poor victim is still alive, you finish it off with your ult and another enhanced basic attack. This should be more than enough to kill the enemy. Unless you're targeting the enemy's tank. In that case, what the f are you doing? The next combo is a little harder to pull off, as it requires a bit of patience as well as timing. When you see an enemy walking to your bush, precast your second skill to get your enhanced basic attack ready. And as they walk into the bush, use your basic attack plus ultimate plus basic attack plus first skill plus basic attack plus ult plus basic attack plus second skill plus basic attack. Could you follow this? So much to Alucard is a button mash hero. You cast your second skill first because of its low cooldown, so you can use it at the end of the combo again. This combo is mainly against enemies who run around like headless chickens and enter a bush without any backup. The higher your rank is, the fewer this combo will work, or the less. In general, before engaging into the enemies, make sure that they have been marked by your ultimate to maximize the damage you deal to everyone. Also make sure that when you enter a gank, you have an escape skill available. And also do not forget that Alucard have insane lifesteal abilities. If you can't escape anymore, just keep attacking the enemy and hope for the best. Your lifesteal can save your butt in many situations, especially when you have your ult available. Now let's talk about the playstyle of Alucard, which is equally important to know as his skills and his build. First off, Alucard is meant to be played as a jungler. If possible, farm as fast as you can to reach level 4 ASAP and then stop roaming around to support your team with kills and taking objectives. As Alucard is more of an early to mid game hero, you should really try to make the enemy's offlaner cry as much as possible by constantly ganking their lanes. If you have an airheaded teammate though that can't adjust, the gold lane would be your safest option, because you can defeat most of the gold laners in the early game. But since in Epical Glory most of your teammates would start to freak out when they have no MM in the team, maybe you should go to the XP lane and hope for the best. With your 1.5 times damage against a single target, you're not the weakest hero in the game. Things like freezing the lane or what to do in a 1v2 situation we will cover in the Be a Perfect Offlaner video that will be released soon. So make sure to subscribe if you don't wanna miss that. Now let's talk about his build, spell and emblem. As jungler you should use the spell Retribution, obviously. And as an offlaner, you can choose between Flicker and Vengeance. Flicker you can use to escape tricky situations, and Vengeance will help you to be more tanky and to deal some damage back to the enemy. As emblem, the Assassin emblem is highly recommended. The first sub-talent you should use is Agility for the extra movement speed, and the second sub-talent should be Invasion for the physical penetration effect. As talent, High and Dry works really good since you want to focus single enemies a lot of the times anyway. Now it's time for his build. As boots, you should usually go with Warrior Boots or with Tough Boots if the enemy have multiple enemies who deal magic damage or a lot of strong stun abilities. The next two items should be Endless Battle and War Axe. Endless Battle gives you a lot of stats like more physical attack and lifesteal, and also has an awesome passive effect. Whenever you cast a skill, the next basic attack will be enhanced and you deal 60% of your physical attack as true damage to the enemy. This matches up perfect with Alucard's playstyle. War Axe is used to deal with more tanky enemies or enemies who have long fighting abilities. You should by the way focus on finishing one of those two items before you finish to build your boots. This will allow you to reach your power spike way earlier. So build your normal boots first and then focus to build one of your two core items, followed by finishing your boots. As for the last three items, I would usually go for one physical defensive item, Oracle, and one more attack item. So let's say the enemies have some heroes who have a lot of lifesteal as well, Dominance Eyes would be my go-to defensive item because of the life drain passive. If not, build Brute Force to counter heroes like Aldous and any other burst hero. Damn, I said Aldous, not Aldog. Sorry about that. Or Anti-Koraz to counter heroes who loves to drag out the battle like Ruby, Lapu Lapu or Alpha. As last item I would build Malefic Roar to counter all enemies with heavy defenses, or Blade of Despair if the enemies don't have a lot of physical defensive items. Now let's talk about good teammates and counters against him. Tanks like Tigreal, Atlas or Khufra are perfect partners for Alucard. While they gather all of the enemies in one place and stun them, you enter lifesteal heaven and probably get a quick savage out of it. Supports like Angela, Essus or Rafaela are also awesome to keep you longer alive in a gank. Now to the counters that will make your life as the Alucard main a living hell. As assassin-like hero, you can usually pick off the enemy's marksmen and mages easily. However, if they have any hard CC skills, engaging against them is a big no-no. Just imagine what would happen if you engage against Eudora. Yeah, you're right. She will first stun and then burst you to the moon. So if your enemy has easy stun abilities, stay away from them, unless you are sure that they are on cooldown. Anti-heal is of course another hard counter for you, so a hero like Bastia or items like Dominance Eyes, Sea Harbor or Necklace of Durance will give you sleepless nights as well. Anti-dash heroes like Khufra, Phobius and Mincy are also very annoying enemies for you. He's also pretty defenseless if you have a hero that can invade the enemy's jungle like Tigreal or Khufra, since he alone can't do much about it. And since he's kinda farm dependent, it will be really difficult to come back once you're underfarmed. I'm also sure you're interested in Alucard's tragic backstory, like how he became an orphan or why he hates Tigreal. Check out my story video about him now. Also a big thank you to Dracula who provided this guide. Check out his TikTok for awesome Alucard clips, link in the description.